So remember one thing, guys, if you are invited for the interview, 95% of the times you're already qualified on the paper. If you are invited for the interview, that means you are qualified for that particular position. That's why somebody has shown eagerness to meet you. So just keep this thing in your head that your resume has done your job. Your qualification has done their job by, getting you an opportunity for the interview. After that, a resume has no role. After that, your qualification has no role. The only thing which matters is how you perform in the interview after that. The resume, the qualifications has a role only till the time you get an interview. They help you get an interview. And if you are getting an invite for the interview, 95% of the times you're already qualified on paper. So the question is, why we ultimately get a job? If it is not about resume, it's not about qualifications, then why? Who are the ones who get a job and who are the ones who misses out? So, there are 3 reasons because of which you can actually get the job. And unfortunately, you can only control one of them. That is the most unfortunate part. The first one is your ability to effectively articulate your fit and value. How good you are in terms of telling that you are the right fit. How good you are in terms of telling your qualifications, your value to the organization. How good you are in terms of telling that you are the right fit for the company. That is one thing which is very, very important, which we call it as encoding. The second one is the interviewer's ability to actually interpret your qualifications and your ability, which is called as decoding. Remember, guys, one thing, you might be really amazing in terms of telling who you are and what kind of value you bring. But if the interviewer is not able to interpret that in the correct manner, he's not able to come out of the assumption which he might be having for you, he will never be able to judge you in the proper manner. So it is also the interviewer's ability to actually interpret your qualifications, which we call as decoding. And remember, guys, that is impacted by many factors beyond control. The interviewer might be taking multiple interviews, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the same day, and you might be the 5th candidate. He might even not able to remember whatever you said in the interview after 24 hours. He might be very busy. He might have come out of the one meeting and might be entering another meeting. He's not in the state of mind to properly listen to you. He might be on your phone, checking mails and so on. So his ability to decode might be very, very bad, and that will result in terms of you not getting hired. The third thing is the interviewer's capacity to remember, the memory, which is a very, very important factor. Now, the problem is it's a busy world. Like I mentioned, the interviewer might have taken 4, 5, 7 interviews in the day, and during the time he takes the interview and during the times while he has to give the feedback for you, there's a time lag. And it happens with me as well. I might have taken your interview today, but I will be giving my feedback to the HR or to my senior after a day's time or so. And after 1 day's time, I might forget. I might not remember what all you said. I might have jotted down few points, but I clearly might forget altogether in terms of what is the kind of personality you were, what kind of value you spoke about. Because I have met multiple people. I have met 5 to 7 people. I have met multiple people at work. I was busy in many things in office. So it is very, very important for me to remember, but I might forget. But the person who will suffer is the interviewee, who might suffer just because of the poor memory of the interviewer. So what we can do, these things are beyond control. But in spite of that, there is a strategy, there is a method which we can apply so that you are top of the mind in terms of memory and top of the mind in terms of decoding what an interviewer might not have asked. Sometimes interviewers just assume, you have done suppose sales, and I might assume that you have never done a business development or partnership and alliances because you are a salesperson. I might not even ask a question if you have done partnership and alliances. I might just assume that you have not done it because you are a sales guy, and you have not mentioned it to me because you thought I have never asked you. So that's how the communication barrier appears. So the pro tip is, whenever any interview happens, remember one thing: there are only 2 types of questions in a job interview. First is about your past, and another one is about your future. Sharing something about your past, about your history. How did you do? How did you manage the conflict situation? how you showed leadership skills, how you showed competitive skills, how you cracked a certain project, might be about history. Or what would you do if you are made a manager of this particular project? What would you do if you handle XYZ situation, XYZ case? So every question can be either in history, in the past, or it can be in the future. What exactly you can do. Guys, can you hear me all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got a message from Mohit that he can't hear me. Mohit, you need to check.
So I can also hear you.
Okay, got it. So, there are two these questions, in terms of history and the future. So what you need to do is you need to answer both, even if one question is asked. So regardless of which type of question is asked, whether it is about past or it's about future, you need to answer both the questions. So for example, if a question is asked, what did you do? What did you do in terms of a situation where you handled a leadership project, or you managed certain, a project management case, or you have handled a team or anything? So you mentioned that's how I did it in the past. This is how I did it in the past. But if you have a current situation or anticipate one you might have in future, do let me know so that I can tell you how I would address this situation or this problem in your environment in future. So although the question was asked about the past, that how you handled XYZ thing in the past, you also ask and tell that although I have handled this way in the past, but in the future, in your environment, this is the way I will change, this is the way how I will evolve, and this is the way how I will handle it in the future. Now similarly, if there is a situation which is given, what would you do? What would you do in future if there is a similar situation, if there is a XYZ situation? So you mentioned that's how I would do it in future, and along with that also tell them that there is a situation I want to share where I handled a similar thing, similar problem in the past. So even though he has not asked about your past, you bring it the past, you tell him that I will be handling it this way in future, but I have handled similar situation in the problem, similar kind of a problem in the past, and this is the way I was able to come out of that problem in the past. So the long story short is, even if there's a question which is asked for present or it is asked for past, you have to answer both the things. Don't leave anything to the assumption of the interviewer. That is how you are able to remove all the communication barriers. That is the most important thing. It will remove that decoding problem, because the interviewer will not assume anything. You have already clarified everything, how you will handle in the past or in the future, and it will eliminate 90% of the communication issues.